Hello everybody, Hi Gamer here. Welcome back to SFM 101. Now today, we're going to be working on model poses, lighting, and model attachments. By model attachments, that being mostly cosmetic attachments. We are going to be adding another character here with this segment here, as what we're going to be doing here, we're just still working on the posing for our Kung Fu Fighting session. So, starting off with the posing. Last episode, there was a hint of posing here and there, but the best way to make a pose is either you visualize it in your mind, or you can always take a reference from images or so. There is no shame taking references or inspiration from other image or so. I'm just doing this for my head, which is this whole kung fu fighting thing, doing a karate kick or so. Another thing you can do when it comes to posing, you can either start from scratch, or what you can also do is that when you have a TF2 model or any model that has any sequences, you can use one of these sequences and you can always pause at a certain moment and you can pose them on your own. So for example, we're going to try find a taunt that looks like that, or animation that looks like it could be perfect for a karate kick. But since something has happened, sometimes when you push the arrow key it doesn't exactly work as much even if you click it. So we're going to cancel and we'll try again. So how it works, you go to your model here, which is you right click on it, you go to import and then sequence. So what we're going to be doing here, these are all the animations that are inside the game Team Fortress 2. There is a way to update everything when it comes to cosmetics and animations and taunts to the current updates of TF2, but that will be another time, as soon as we get the basics and such done. But what we're going to be doing first is we're going to be first working on finding a taunt that looks like they can make a good pose. Good pose for it. This might take a little while, but we'll find it. But I believe like the best way to make a pose for a karate move probably be something like let me find it. This might take a little while, I apologize. There's like a certain class. Oh wait, right here. Probably not, but you get the point. Finding a certain model just to change it. What we also could do is, let me find another thing. So anyways, if you are going to be posing while using animations, what I would recommend is this. When you choose an animation, and if you want it to stop at a certain angle or so, or a certain pose, let me just find a good example of it. We could just say we're going to go to, let's say this one right here. So what we're going to do is basically you're going to let your model play for a little bit, and then once you have that right, we have that right pose. Say, sometimes you also got to adjust it a bit. Say right here. What you're going to do is you click the whole model from here, and you push and you hold play ahead and you drag it all the way. And as you can see right here, this is how the animation stopped. And when the animation stopped, you have your pose right here. This can be a starting point. But what we're going to be working on now is we're going to find a better move. Basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to make my character, we're going to make myself looking like we're about to do a karate chop. Or some sort of karate punch. Because the whole theme of this session is Kung Fu Fighting. Basically a joke, or a joking session. Right here. Also, when you're animating or moving stuff, make sure you go to this right here. You go to the motion editor. Because the motion editor is how you move your stuff and move your models or so, while the clip editor is just your timeline. So always go to the motion editor whenever you're gonna move your poses or move your models or so. Like with the skeletal bones or all the props laying around or so. Okay, so what we're gonna do is right here. Okay, and here we go. I'm gonna push play ahead, and there you go. The character is now stuck in that pose as long as you push play ahead. But my head is not really looking too good, mainly because the head is a separate model My head is a separate model just because it has a different texture, and not only that, it has different riggings when it comes to moving the facial expression. I prefer this one because at least when it comes to it's kind of better when it comes to mimicking poses or different lip ringing for your audio recording. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it to 0 right here, making sure everything's in check. Okay, there we go. My hair is a little black for some reason, but that's just how it is, I suppose. My hair is always black, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make my head looking at the direction right here. But, oh, hold on a second. Oops. Oh no. So the best way you're gonna do when it comes to animation or posing is you always turn off the lighting, like disable lighting right here. Because if you disable lighting, everything should be a lot easier when it comes to animating or posing. That way it doesn't really lag as much. Okay, so posing. Whenever you pose, it's always important to check whatever skeletal rig you're working on and making sure everything is not twisted in a sense. Like right here, my model looks a little twisted from another end. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make myself do like a little karate move again, once again, because this theming is karate theming. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm also gonna be adjusting my legs. So yeah, the best advice to do when it comes to posing is, one, you can always picture it in your mind, but if you can't picture it, there's always references. You can always look up references or images. There is no shame in doing so. Because you see, when it comes to making art or animation, not everything has to be perfect. Because it's only perfect on how you make it. Or another saying is, there is no such thing as perfect. There's only effort. The best effort you can do is how you make your own story or how you make your own art. That is the best effort you can always do. So my Pip-Boy's looking a little wrong, so I'm gonna adjust it right here. There we go. So the next thing we're gonna do is, from my opinion, throughout SFM, the worst thing ever is always posing the fingers. Almost as if like people always have trouble drawing fingers. Posing and animating fingers is also a little frustrating in a sense. And it also takes a lot of patience to adjust and animate the fingers. But the faster way to do so would have to be that you would hold the left control button, and then you push the zeros. Like you have your pinky, ring finger, and your middle finger at 0. And you could possibly do this, but sometimes it breaks the animation. So I would say just only move it if it's absolutely necessary. Try not to break your entire model just by moving every single part of the bone or rig. Because when posing a model, you're not trying to break it. Okay, looks like we got some of the posing done. But since this is also karate, I believe that we need to change my clothes. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go to the plus icon. We push models. Sometimes I keep it to workshop, but if you want anything from the workshop and updated TF2 models, you go to all models. And for me, I would just usually type in sniper item, which basically it just shows all the sniper cosmetics from the TF2 game and within the workshop that I have downloaded within the SFM Steam workshop. It will take a little while for it to load and adjust every single model that's in both SFM, user mod, workshop, etc. Okay, it looks like everything is fully loaded. Now let's begin to find our right cosmetics for this kung fu art. Alright, after finding our cosmetics, so here's how do you attach your cosmetics to the character. But first, I'm going to take off some of my character's stuff. So I'm going to start off with my jacket. My jacket happens to be this, so besides deleting it, which is, of course, you delete it from over here. Besides deleting it, I'm just going to click this eyeball icon right here. And there, it just makes it invisible. Now, to begin, to adjust and attach your cosmetics, you'll have to click on the character, drag it over to your characters. Also, depending on what model cosmetics is for whatever class it is. For these cosmetics are for sniper classes, so I'm gonna put it right here, and that's the same for the other two. And what you're gonna do, well, wait, hold on, wrong model. Sometimes when it comes to different models, you have to put it on your head. So what you're gonna do is this: hold Control, you click on all three, you push the 0 right here, and then you drag it all the way. There we go, like magic. Though something's not right, I think I might have accidentally pushed the wrong thing. So let me try this again. Accidents happens too. Always remember that. Accidents happen. You're going to be getting some accidents here and there. Okay, so that's also the same for like head cosmetics. If you're making a model to attach a head. And there you go. Look at me. Kung Fu fighting. Kung Fu, bitch. Alright, so now that we got that down. Okay, well, it looks like it's no clipping, which honestly, from this angle, it looks completely fine, as long as it's not overdoing it in a sense. But if it is, and if you're not really comfortable with it, you can always go right here, go to the head part, add scale control, and then you just mess around with the adjustment, making sure if it's big enough but not too big. At least for me, it's just big enough to cover my hair. And we're perfect right here. And that's how you do your posing. So we're gonna try to see if we can work on our Shifu Yishuan right here. She also looks freaking tiny. Holy crap! I gotta adjust the height and the size. So watch this time lapse, and see what it's like. Okay, that seems to be it for that for now. Sorry that took a huge chunk of time, and especially you saw Certain models have way too many rigs. On the other hand, that's the frustrating part for frustrating part for certain models. But now that you know how model posing can work, unfortunately, our Shifu Yishuan does not have any sequences. It's just only ref, which is the majority of these models. Now, what we're gonna do is lighting. Now, for lighting, what we're gonna do here is first we gotta tone down the map tone on our camera. I think maybe even raise up our character a little bit because there we go, because the lighting didn't work for some reason. Alrighty, so what you're gonna do is you push the plus sign, set a new light. Now for some reason it's in groups, so what you're gonna do is that since you have a light, you always gotta make sure if you drag it right here, you have the light camera, and as long as you click on the light, you can move the light wherever you like. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to place our light right here because it's supposed to be our sunshine. So this is how you move the FOV. You can move it horizontally, you can move it vertically, and this is the intensity, like how bright you want it to be, and occasionally there's a bunch of other modes you can do. But we'll get to the others later. But for now, we're gonna try see if we can make this our best sunshine yet, because this is supposed to be a sunshine over the damn cherry blossom fields. But what you also got to do is that if you want to make a lighting just right, you got to make sure that they're not only cinematic, but you also got to make sure they're bright enough. So, and to change color, this is the colors right here. For blue, there's red, green, and blue. You can also mix the color of these three too. Like, if we take out blue, it's yellow. If we take out green, it's just red. If we take out red, it's just green. If we keep blue, it's just like a lighter green and blue. But take away the green, it's a darker night blue. So in a sense, you can always mix colors with those. Like, take away the blue, we take away the green, and have a red and blue. What do you get? You get purple. So it's always about color readings. That's what it's all about. So what we're going to be doing, though, is we're going to make our sunshine. Oh boy, that's a little too bright. The constant in liner is supposed to be how bright it could possibly be, but we're also going to be making some shadows too. Shadow depth bias would have to be like this, or no, could also be like that. Also make sure we got some good shadows too. It's also right here. There you go. Now we got some good shadows. What else you're gonna do is you can also copy it and paste that same lighting if you don't want to do it again. And if you want to add some fog or volumetrics, just push right click, enable volumetrics, click it again, and there you go. Volumetrics. Volumetrics is basically how you can make fog lighting or so. But this is a little too much, so we're gonna be getting rid of we're gonna get rid of this. Maybe add a couple of these here and there. And we're gonna make it just like this. Now that is a sunshine. Now, the next lighting we can also do, copy that, disable volumetrics, lighting again. We can also make a light on this side, making sure there's lighting in every angle. That's what it's all about, people, is that you always got to make certain angles for lighting, because if there's angles for lighting, you have more depth. More depth equals absolute cinema. More depth in your lighting, that is. And there you go. That's the lighting. So what you're also going to do is you're going to go to your render settings. You're also going to push to overdrive. You have to go overdrive right here if you want the best quality. But you can also overdrive right here for best movement quality. But we're not talking about but. We're only going to put through 8. Now, what you're going to do, though, when you're ready to export or not, you can also always work on your bloom scale, your shadow bias, strength, and radius. That's also important too. There's also your aperture, which is basically blurring in the background. Then here's your focal distance right here, which is basically how far your blur can be in your background. Sometimes you just gotta mess around with this if you want the right one, but we'll work on that some other time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the shadows. So we're gonna work on shadow bases right here, strength right here, and then our radius right over here. We're also going to be turning down the map tone because it's a little too bright. So, and then here's a bonus. Particles. Now, there are particles out there, which is basically how you can add certain effects to your art. So the particles I'm going to try see if I can look for is cherry blossoms. I probably might not remember what the cherry blossom particles might be, but we will find it. The best place to find your particles is within these files right here. Your whatever drive SFM is in, program files, Steam apps, source commons, source filmmaker, game, workshop, and then particles. If you download particles from the workshop, that's where your particles are going to be. But there's also going to be particles, let's say in TF2, Half-Life, or any other Valve game that source engine is on. Now, let me try to see if I can look for cherry blossoms. Alright, so I found it right here. So what we're going to do, we push that, push OK. Now, if we look at the time here, basically what it is that the start time is where you're going to start your particles. The emission duration, I keep it to 50 for it to be more effective. And the lifetime, I kept it to the highest number so it can last longer. Now let's see if this works. Huh. Wait. Let's see if it worked. Did it work? I am not so sure. I'm not sure if this particle works or maybe it's just potential spam. Or maybe something might be wrong. Give me a moment, chat. Okay, well, unfortunately, the particle systems don't work. But despite that, we got the art done. Even though it's not much, we can always add a couple of props here and there. But I think this is enough knowledge for today. So if you want to export your image, you go to File, go to Save As, Kung Fu right there, Save as Kung Fu. Yes, I want to save it as that. Then you go to Export, Poster. And what you're always going to do, you should always put it to PNG or JPEG, but I put it in JPEG. Save it into... Oh, hold on a second. Something's not right. Hold on. Okay, there we go. SFM 101. That was some secrets you're all not supposed to see for any series or such. But it doesn't matter. So, we're going to name it Kung Fu. And then... Oh, wait. Cap locks. Save. There, you can put it to 1920 or 1080, but I'm gonna put it to 4K. So 3840 x 2160, and when it's done, push export, and then all you gotta do is just wait. And that's also the same for animation process. So this might take a little while, folks. Okay, so this is pretty much our entire artwork from basically from the first episode. At this point, this is where our episode will end, but if you do wish to edit your own SFM work, I would recommend to use different websites out there, like Canva, for example. I would personally use Canva for better saturation and everything. But all in all, I believe this is where we're going to end our second class of SFM 101. Though the next time we do more of this class, we're going to focus more on particles and other work projects. But all in all, I hope you all enjoy this episode of SFM 101. If you do, be sure to leave a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And I hope this video helps for other future SFM artists out there. And be sure to share the channel to your friends, family, and everybody you know you can see fit. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye!